Hello and welcome to the premiere edition of Frank Talk on the AccraTimes.com. I'm your host, Fred Avonyo. On Frank Talk, we bring you interviews with personalities of diverse background. These are personalities that have gone through a number of challenges, triumphs, and have learned a lot of lessons. We want to ride on this to understand how they went through those challenges and how cumulatively those ideas and expertise can shape our national life. Our guest for this maiden edition is Captain Prince Kofi Amoabeng. He is known for many things and is a business maverick, no doubt about that. But today, he's here as the founder of the PK Amoabeng Leadership Foundation. He wants to shed light on this critical issue of mismanagement of our time, something that has permeated every facet of the Ghanaian life. And people believe that it's one of the major reasons why this country is not growing as fast as it should. We take a break, and when we come back, we delve straight into this thought-provoking subject. Welcome back. This is Frank Talk on the AccraTimes.com, and my name is Fred Avonyo. As I mentioned earlier, our guest is Captain Amoabeng. Sir, good to see you.
Nice to be here.
How have you been, sir?
I'm really, really good. No two ways about that.
Great.
I've been blessed.
I see. With all that you've been going through.
Yeah. It shows that
I'm sure you've been in and out of court every now and then.
That is true. I go to court every so often. I've been in court for the past 4 years, on and off. But things are going well, I hope.
Very well. I'm intrigued by your interest in time management, or rather mismanagement, which I think many people believe is really harming us. Is it just based on the cliche that time is money, or there's more to this?
Thanks, Fred. There's a bit more to it. At the PK Amoabeng Leadership Foundation, there are a few things which has become the core issues that we want to address, because they eat us up and they let us stay underdeveloped all the time. One of them really is time. And time is crucial and critical. And we don't understand the concept of time as we should as a people, especially as black people. Now, you started by saying time is money, right?
Yes, exactly.
Time is not always money. Time, you can decide that you're going to relax or chill at some place, so it won't earn you money.
But you'll be losing money because you're not working for money.
That you have enough money and you want to go and chill. It's your choice. So that time will not bring you money. The reverse rather is true for me. Time is not necessarily money, but money is actually time.
Okay.
Now, the concept is this. You use your time to make money. You decide to put the money aside. So it's your time which is converted into money and stored it. So all money is time stored. Now, instead of saying time is money, I would say money is actually time.
Okay.
Because time is not always money. The issue about time, which is critical, is the fundamental resource that we have, the only basic resource that every living thing that includes human beings have, is time. Let me explain. When you are not born, you have no time on earth.
That's
right?
true.
When you die, it simply means your time is finished.
Okay.
So time defines every living thing, including human beings. So your time is your life, and your life is your time. That's all you have. That's what defines you. So in the law books, the biggest crime is murder.
True.
Right?
True.
So in murder, let's try and define murder. Murder is when your time on earth has been cut short by somebody else, that the person has murdered you. And murder is not always drastic, and it can be nice and smooth. They poison you quietly and you die. But so murder can be in any form. Back to my definition. Murder is simply your time which has been cut short on earth by somebody else. And that's the biggest crime. Now, we go around wasting people's time, 1 hour here, 2 hours here, 3 months here, 5 months here. And every time you waste is a percentage of murder. Let me bring it home more. Assuming somebody has 2 hours to live and he's crossing the street and you are over speeding and you hit that person, you can be charged with murder.
Exactly.
He had 2 hours to live.
So you've cut it short.
You cut the 2 hours short. You'll be charged with murder and you face the full rigors of the law. Now, if you haven't murdered anybody, but you let somebody wait 5 hours, 3 hours for you, isn't it worse than the guy whose life was murdered? Because you wasted somebody's 3 hours, 5 hours.
Well, the argument is that he still have the opportunity to make it up.
It's not about opportunity, it's about, did you waste the time? Did you cut short that time from his life? And let me bring it home. If you have, say, a president who has a meeting with the people, let's say he's going to give an announcement, and the people are all waiting by the radio sets and TV sets, and he keeps them waiting for 1 hour, and you have maybe 20 million people listening. 1 hour by 20 million hours.
Exactly.
And he goes away free, most times without even an apology. In short, what I'm saying is that because your time is your life and your life is your time, any disrespect for your time means disrespect for your being. Anybody who wastes your time doesn't respect you, Fred, at all. That's why he wastes your time. If he respects you, you keep your time. Now, the other thing is, if people can come around and not waste people's time and make it their policy to save time at all times, you can see instant development. Because what happens? Everybody rushes to work on time because they respect time. Therefore, immediately productivity should go up. The government will fix the rules because it doesn't want us to waste time. Health, they won't let you waste time, so you get back with life and so on. So if you use time as your fundamental and respect time as being the lives of people, you do what is right. The problem we have is this. In the Western world, or rather south or north, even though they worship their God and everything, they knew, for example, that definitely winter is coming. Definitely there could be hurricane, there could be tsunami, there could be earthquake, there could be all the hazards. Therefore, they had to plan and use time judiciously, and so that they can save their lives, which is also their time, when the snow comes, when the hurricanes come, and so on and so forth. In Africa, what happened to us was that because we live in a place where life was easy, no serious natural hazards, and plenty of things to enjoy and live for, we did not respect time at all. And you can see it the way we treat time.
It's not because of underdevelopment. There's pretty not much to do, and so you idle about.
In fact, it's because of abundance in Africa. By design, God's design, not mine, the black man was put on the best part of the earth. Think about it. We were put around the equator. That's where the black man originates from. Where greenery was taken for granted, forests, food, everything was free for thousands of years before now. And therefore, note, the environment shapes the life of every living thing, or every living thing adapts to the environment. So we are adapted to our cozy environment. And the cozy environment is like you have kids, and then you think, oh, this is my love child. You don't discipline the child, you dote on the child, that child suddenly won't turn out well. And it's similar to what happened to Africa.
So are we blaming God, for instance, for giving us too much?
You can't blame God, because God has plans that transcends probably thousands of millions of years. He's not thinking today, 100 years ago, no. So God has his plan. And therefore, and definitely you cannot blame God if you believe in creation. But that is where we find ourselves. So to my point, we develop cultures around time wasting because we have too much time on our hands. You wake up in the morning, you've eaten, you don't need even clothes because the weather will be good all year round. You don't have to store food because food will always be available. So you have a lot of time on your hands. So what you find, or what we find, is that we develop these cultures that will ensure that time is wasted before we go to bed. Take, for example, and I always say it, even greeting for some tribes in Africa will take 10 minutes. Compare and contrast that with somebody in the place where it snows, wintertime. You have your hands in your coat, and you just say hi, and you run to go and find some fire to warm your hands. For Africans, we can stay outside 10 minutes, we're just greeting, thinking about goats, sheep, your child, your this, or that.
But Captain, if we're very busy working, would we have the time
we couldn't
to
be
waste?
busy because everything was free. It's precisely to my point. We couldn't be busy because what you eat is around. At best, you marry 1 or 2, 3 wives, have children with them, which will help you reap what is abundantly around you, and you don't need anything. So, even, something that occurred to me recently, even black people, we bath too much. We have bath in the morning, bath in the evening. You see someone stand there and rubbing themselves with soap and things.
No, because of our weather, very humid. If you don't do that, we'll be sweating all the time.
It's not about humidity, but because we have too much time on our hands. I attended school in the UK, and I realized I was the only person who was visiting the bathroom. So I asked them, why is the bathroom always ready? They said, they just go throw water on their face and they're gone. And I was there scratching my body morning and evening, sometimes even 3 times, even in their weather, because it become a habit. And we waste time to the point where we've gone to a stage where we think if we're a big man, then you should waste people's time. And it is taking away our ability to develop because we think negatively. Not to dwell too much on time, because we have things in abundance. The other thing which happened was we didn't have respect for each other. So you are okay with your kids and your hamlet. I'm also okay with my kids and hamlet. I don't need you. I don't have to exchange even goods with you. We all have it. So why do I have to respect you? I won't respect you. Yes. And that breeds also jealousies and things, the black man and all and all. But back to the issue of time. Since time is the only resource that we have, we must learn to manage it.
Now, in your personal life, running business and all other things, would you mind to share with us how the misuse of time probably has impacted you?
Actually, the proper use of time, which will answer it the other way. And anybody who is listening or who will listen...
Actually meant how the misuse of time had negatively impacted on your business life, on your own life. Not by you, but by others.
Yeah, I mean, by others, if they want to do business with you teach them how to be on time. At UT, no meeting started late because I was the one who was shaping the culture of UT. And it's important that when you run a business, for example, create your own culture. Don't bring into business the general culture which is around us, which is quite toxic. So every meeting in UT, if I'm supposed to attend, I'm there on time, and we sanction those who are not there on time. So it became part of our way of living, that we go to every meeting on time. Even in delivery of our service, the critical thing about time when we're doing business is that human beings need only 2 things. Human beings, we need only 2 things. We need to save time because we want to do so many things with the time that we have in our life. And we need quality time. Those are the only 2 things people want. So in running a business, which is where I achieved whatever I achieved, always think of what your product or your service is going to do unto people. 2 things. Will it save them time? And will it give them quality time? Just the 2. So at UT, to your point, what differentiated us was when we realized that the customers who came to us, as in the SMEs and the individuals, by the time they came to us, the need had occurred already. And if you delay in processing, then you will give them the money when the need is actually gone, and they will apply the money. So to respect them and their lives, we decided to cut down the lending time and look at the whole lending process. And if you remember, we came up with a loan in 48 hours.
Yes.
That was the unique selling proposition of UT Financial Services.
It's not the case that principle worked, for instance, for UT Financial Services, but when you switched to a universal bank, that principle didn't work.
We can get there, but the point I'm making is that every business is supposed to save people time or give them quality time. In actual fact, it should do both. So everybody needs a phone currently. Why? Because the phone saves you time. Plus, the phone also gives you luxury. You can watch your news, you can watch all kinds of entertainment, including whatever you want to watch in your own convenience. That is why the phone is selling, and it's a multi-billion industry. Simply because it saves time and it gives quality time. Same with transport. Airlines, because it can get you there faster and they make it comfortable whilst you're flying. Even trotro, without trotro you may have to walk. Therefore you sponsor trotro, or you give your customer to trotro so that you can save some time. Everything, because human beings want to use their lives to the fullest, and the only way to enjoy a full life is to save time and activities that you will care. So if you're doing business, or you think you have a good product or a great service, ask yourself the question, does it save people time? And does it give people quality time? Ideally, does it do both? If you go through this evaluation and you can say, yes, it's better than the existing facility, then you have a winning product or service. It is that critical. Now, to get the culture to imbibe it, it can only come from the top of whichever institution. Let's say Ghana. If the president should decide that he is going to attend all appointments on time and demand that his immediate subordinates all come to appointments on time and they see their appointees on time, and he will sanction them for not doing that. And he will lead that crusade by not being late for any function. This will cascade down and will change that culture.
How realistic is that? Because looking at our setting, the big man must always arrive late.
It's a negative mind. I've told you, to respect people, you respect their time. If the president respects us, he will keep every appointment on time. If he's late, it simply means he doesn't care about us. Period.
No, again, I come back to, because typically what happens with events is that they would wait to ask, even when the president is ready, they will still ask him to wait until everybody is seated.
Who can tell a president to wait?
Well, I think the protocol system, that's what basically happened.
And the president must check that protocol system and say that you cannot keep me waiting, because I cannot keep my people waiting. And that is what it is.
So you suggest that the president should walk in?
Yes.
Once it's time.
And once he does that twice, everybody will know that this president, he respects himself, he respects us, and therefore we dare not be late. And we'll be sanctioned or we'll miss out. Now, because the president is not doing that, all the institutions of state are not doing that. And I will say categorically that a lot of institutions have become institutions of murder. Let's take the court system. The court system has become chambers of murder.
How so?
I'm in court, so I will limit it, but let me tell you. We have cases in court, land cases and the rest that are over 20 years and they're still being tried.
True.
The initial litigants are dead and their next of kin are probably even dead or still pursuing those cases. Of what use is it?
But is it not better that you ensure justice than to be in a haste? I mean, let's say that the wheel of justice turns slowly.
Slowly till you are dead, of what use? But I agree to your point, because there are two statements that we have to look at. Justice delayed is justice denied.
That's true.
But justice hurried is also justice buried. And recently, Auntie Ketty, as I want to call her, as in the Supreme Court Chief Justice, has instituted some measures to ensure that there's quick delivery of justice. We've seen it before, so I'm looking at what she's going to do. Because we had computerization of the courts and things like that. They didn't change much. But let's give her the support and let's see what comes out of it. But my point is, when you delay cases to the point where even the originally interested parties die, it's of no use. And in the case in which I'm in court, one of the defendants is dead. So we struck his name off. So if we do for punishment, you have to actually hurry up to some point and let them serve the punishment. If their freedom is being withheld, of course you must hurry up to some point and get justice done.
Do you have a feeling that they are just dragging their feet? It's not the case that they are following due procedure.
They are following due procedure, but interested parties or stakeholders, if you want to be more general, use it to their advantage. A simple case of, say, debt collection, which I call very simple, because people walk into an institution and take a loan and then they refuse to pay. So we have lawyers who have become experts in delaying the procedure. And at some point, the court must put its foot down. What I would propose, if I had any say at all, what I would suggest, that's a better way to put it, every case must have a limit by which it has to be judged. Let's say debt collection should not take more than 1 month. Murder should not take more than 1 year. Land cases should not take more than 2 years.
If we did that, I would now opening up the system for abuse, because imagine...
For abuse. The point is it's better to deliver justice to a good percentage of the people than deny most people justice. I'm not saying it's perfect, but you know, and the judges must manage the case and say, fine, this is a murder case, it shouldn't take more than maybe a year. And call the parties and say, put it right there, because the law we've accepted that shouldn't take more than 1 year. Don't say it's not done anywhere, because sometimes you must take the lead to ensure that you do what will serve your people best. It's only a suggestion. But you can't go to court and not know when it's going to end. 20 years, 25 years, you die early with it.
I think there have been instances where when there is obvious case of undue delay, probably on the side of one of the parties, the other party draws the attention of the judge. So is that not a system that already exists that we can explore?
So the judge will say that by the system, I must allow them to exhaust all the avenues available to them, and therefore you stay for 20 years. Do
you feel your time is being wasted by this process you're
My
going
personal
through?
time. Of course, I'm 72 years, and I've been in court for 4 years. And I think it's enough. It means my life is being cut short. I'm being murdered anytime I go to court. I take some of my time off. That's what I mean. And it will be, I'll be nice, but of course you have to allow the prosecution to also present their case. 4 years, the prosecution is still on their case. They haven't finished prosecuting. And it's only God who has blessed me for me to last 72 years. Only God knows how much I'm going to last. If the system is lucky, I'll last 90 years, and therefore they can take their time and then finally come up with justice. But like I said, somebody who was younger than me who was a co-defendant, died in court.
Have you complained that you think the process is dragging?
There's a system. That's why the rules must be changed. And with the right authority to say that now going, such cases should not last more than this. So with whatever facilities that we have, we must ensure that these cases do not last. And there have been, kangaroo courts in Ghana before, after the revolution. And people paid dearly with their lives. And Ghana moved on. So I'm not saying kangaroo courts per se, but we should quicken it, because when you do things which save people's lives, that's the meaning of development.
As you said not too long ago, the current Chief Justice, Gertrude Isaba-Tokonu, has launched her vision, which she called the Leading Justice. Now, in that, she wants to ride on technology to quicken the process and also make it transparent. Happy?
Don't think it's going to be easy. She's going to have all sorts of problems. That's why she needs our backing and the full support of the executive and the general public. Because anything that he does, interested stakeholders will put spokes in it and make sure that she doesn't succeed or succeed fully. And it's happened before. So we had the law courts and said judges are picked by a computer and all those things. Still, it doesn't solve our problem. So talk is easy, but we don't know what it's about.
We'll pause here, go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue to examine other issues related to this critical subject, particularly in reference to some suggestions that the current Chief Justice has made. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Frank Talk on the AccraTimes.com. My name is Fred Avonyo, and our guest is Captain Prince Kofi Amoabeng, who is the founder of the PK Amoabeng Leadership Foundation. And today, we are discussing the critical issue of mismanagement of time, how that has affected every aspect of our lives, and how that is retarding or preventing us from developing the way we would have loved to as a country. Thank you so much, Captain, for making time to share this with us. It's an interesting philosophy that you've put across. Now, going back to the court system, or even the public sector generally, they will tell you that they are under-resourced. They will tell you that they don't have the human resource to be able to deliver speedily. Is that not enough excuse?
No, it's not enough excuse. Let me take one department for whatever it's worth. For the entire I read about it disturbs me. Take, say, passport office. Every Ghanaian is entitled to a passport, right?
Exactly.
So they don't have the facilities or enough funding and things like that. So whoever is there should tell us, with the facilities that they have, how long will it take the average Ghanaian to get a passport? Assuming it says 3 months. Okay. So then it becomes a mandate and a deliverable. So every Ghanaian anywhere, if you apply for a passport, you will get it within 3 months because of lack of facilities. We will understand, won't we?
Well, I'm not too sure everybody will understand, because sometimes there's...
You must, because we are saying that...
You need the passport urgently.
Why do you sit when you know that it's 3 months for you to get a passport?
Well, it's not in all cases. Sometimes you're a public servant and there is a conference that pops up.
You can always go... That's where the gap opens. You can go protocol with a special place, maybe Ministry of Foreign Affairs Special Office to do something. But we forget about the small nuances. What I'm saying is that if every Ghanaian knows that if you apply for a passport, it take a month or 2 months or 3 months, and I'll certainly get it because the government has guaranteed it, there won't be Goro boys. Because anybody who thinks of possibly traveling will apply for a passport, knowing that 3 months' time or 2 months' time, they'll get a passport. That eradicates corruption right there. So it's not a matter of financing or finding the facilities to do it, and that it has to be the latest high-tech. No. Whatever you have, you should promise the people what you can deliver for them.
You think that people accept even
but
if
rather,
the time?
The stakeholders, Goro boys, people working at the ministries and all those things, Ghanaians want the chaos. Africans want to create chaos where they can exploit it for their short-term benefit. And that's exactly what we do. In every state institution, you find that. People intentionally make even seeing appointed people or prominent people difficult. So you have to pay for them to tell you when you can see him and how they can let you see another human being who is occupying a public office. So we enjoy the chaos because of our short-term myopic expectations.
And this is not just realistic challenges that confront us. There's been several, for instance, when we go back to the court system, we introduced the fast-track court system or the fast-track high court. Obviously, the reason was to fast-track the process. So we've been making that frantic effort to resolve whatever challenges that confront us, isn't it?
Yeah, but the issue about time management is not about funding and facilities all the time. It's about discipline of the mind. All I'm saying, it doesn't take raw materials, it doesn't take dollars for the president to attend to all appointments on time and ensure that his subordinates or immediate subordinates also are on time for meetings. And it doesn't take raw materials, it doesn't take dollars. It's just discipline of the mind and having respect for people and caring for their lives. It's as easy as that. But it's so difficult because we use it as a show of power. Recently, I went to some top appointee minister's office. And that appointee, my son was a senior in secondary school, and he knows it. And he made me wait for 1.5 hours, only to tell me that I should come the next day. And I thought, well, maybe he has a good excuse. I went the next day for another 1 hour, he wouldn't see me.
He was busy.
Wait. Busy
attending to
you give
other...
appointment to someone. If you respect them, you keep that appointment. And nothing has stopped this minister from asking his secretary to even come and tell me to wait 30 more minutes because he's busy. I went there for an appointment. No communication. That's the other sad part of keeping time. I find people coming for a meeting. They are late. 30 minutes, 1 hour. He comes holding 3 phones. The courtesy, the decency to even call and say, Chief, because of traffic or whatever, maybe I'm running 30 minutes or 1 hour. So I can decide to do something with that 30 minutes or 1 hour. But they waste it. You're sitting there waiting for them. Only to come in sweating and say, today the traffic power. And I normally, you know what, I ask them, that thing you're holding, what is it for? I mean, your phone. So we don't respect each other. That's the only problem that we have. That's why we can't keep to time. It's not about funding at all. It's all about the mind and being disciplined and respecting people and respecting their lives by respecting their time.
How are you hoping to change this? Through your foundation?
One at a time. See, what we're doing at the foundation is this. A lot of people, statesmen, international people, all sort of talk about Africa's problem, Africa is going to rise, and Africa is dead. I don't believe it. Why I don't believe it? Because we do not understand who the African is. And as I pointed out today, Africa is someone who is being spoiled by nature. And they have taken everything for granted for so long. So it's now in our DNA of living in abundance. So if you go to New York, Bronx, or Soweto, or Nima, or wherever the Africans live, as soon as you get there, you can say this is the abode of an African. Where they pee around by, throw things around, because nature is used to taking care of us. And therefore we need a revolutionized mindset, and that's the vision of PK Amoabeng Leadership Foundation. We need to change our mindset. The only way to change our mindset is to show us who we are and understand who we are. And then we can change it. I normally contrast this with the African in Africa and African in the diaspora. In as much as we cannot develop our countries, when we go outside, we tend to excel individually. You agree with me?
True.
Now, why does that happen?
Systems that work.
That is true. But first and foremost, we've got a toxic environment and system in our Africa, where you have friends and family and relatives disrupt the system negatively. You have your chieftaincy and other traditional things which also have their own impact. You have religious and pastoral things which have their impact. And of course, you have the big-time politicians who decide how things should go. So when the African gets out of this negative, toxic system and goes into another country where the systems work, if you don't work, nobody's going to give you a dime. If they say double yellow line, nobody park, the king cannot park there. He doesn't even think of parking there. Then the African will shine. That gives you an idea of, and the hope that the African can be okay, theoretically. But for it to happen live, it's very daring.
So they say that the African is communal in nature compared to the European who are individualistic. Shouldn't we rather create a system that suits who we are, the values that we represent? We have the Institute of African Studies, for instance. Shouldn't they come out with a system, a governance system?
It's late for us to come out with a system. There's only one way to develop. The Chinese have their own system, but they changed and they become more capitalistic and they're developing. To your point about the African living a communal form of living, it's not bad. But then when it comes to doing business or developing, they use that to interfere in the business.
Yeah, but that's who we are. And that's how come when I'm in trouble, it is the responsibility of a relative to call and save the situation.
Okay.
That's who we are.
Fantastic. But then when you need head of procurement in your company, you need somebody with expertise, that relation who looked after you will come and say, I'll give it to your brother because he has no work to do. And you cannot say no. And your brother doesn't know the job. And it's not qualified for it, but you can't say no. So do you want to just go about the communal with its undue influence or not?
Maybe so we drive the concept of family business and see how we can groom people up so that they are family, but they will be qualified to fit in those positions. Is that not something we can do?
You cannot sack family. Listen to me. I had to sack my brother at UT. My family, almost all of them stopped talking to me. You know what they said? They have taken my intestines out and put in sponge. That is, I put in other people.
Yeah.
And it involved the chief of my town, it involved Abusia Penny, it involved my uncles, all coming to intercede for the guy who had committed the offense, not in sympathy with me. Is that the system we want to have?
No, so my point is, again, we've had businesses that have groomed their children to take over or at least hold key positions. So can we apply that so that since we know that we are communal in nature, we begin to build people so that in the future they can take up positions within our business.
But how many of Ghanaian businesses have transferred the business to their children successfully? Name 10.
Actually, I was hoping you were going to be one example. And I remember telling that to myself.
So your point is that trying to grow businesses with family seldom works. And Ghana is a typical example. Because see, the family member or the traditional member or the person recommended by the politician or something comes to work, and because they know they have a backbone, therefore you cannot sack them. Instead of them putting their best to help the business, they come and kill the business because they can steal and you can't sack them because you have to take permission from the pastor to sack them. And not a lot of people are as crazy as me to sack their brother. That is the issue. So the communal thing and all those things, you have to wait. Of course, even when you are starting a business, sometimes you need your family people to put together money. But it's okay when it helps the business. I tell them that if you want me to take this, my brother, please know that if he's not going to do things that will help the business grow, then because of the love I have for the family, I will have to get rid of him. What I tell people all the time is that if you know you cannot fire somebody, don't hire the person. So the issue is, what do you want to become? If you want to become a small family business in front of your house, then that's it. You can use your family. If you want to create a business that's going to have an impact on the country and beyond, then let the systems work, not the the communal associations. That will not work. You must put systems in place. Everybody should go by those systems, including you, the leader. That's the only way to.
And that system must include proper use of time.
Yes, all the time. It must be, because your time is your life. And the business is supposed to actually make people's lives better or give them quality life. It's the same thing. And therefore, don't sacrifice life because of your communal connections and myopic things. No. If you want to create a business or you want to run institutions properly that affect a lot of people, it should not be about communal connections at all. It's about systems, processes, policies, and you, the leader, leading by example. No two ways about it.
Very well. Now, let me draw back to the court system. When the Chief Justice was outlining her vision, and I want to quote her, she said, "Every stakeholder is kindly invited to share ideas and resources with us, for the judiciary is a public institution created to administer justice that first emanates from the citizens." Would you share your ideas with the Chief Justice? Are you going to send her a letter, a note?
She let us know the platform by which we can share ideas. And the idea that I'm putting to you is that notwithstanding what is existing anywhere in the process, there must be time bars for all kinds of crimes. And the courts must manage with the facility they have. For example, if murder should normally be could be done in a year, but because of the court facilities and resources, it has to be done in 3 years. State it that the judge handling this, make sure that you finish this case in 3 years. At least a start. Now, if you don't do that, then of course other stakeholders are going to come in and delay it, and the lawyers know how to delay and cause all sort of things. And you can't change the system, because that's the system. It has to be radical.
So should we expect that maybe within the next week or two, we'll see a document from Ms. Amoabeng going to the Chief Justice? Well, she opened it. She said it openly that she's welcoming suggestions and all of that. I guess you can write to the Judicial Secretary.
Where they say that, listen, send to this address or this, and this is where you get feedback from.
I'm sure if you wrote its address to the Chief Justice, from you.
If you don't hear from them again, when UT Bank was closed down, we tried getting Bank of Ghana. I wrote to the Governor Bank of Ghana. I wrote to the head of economic team. Up to today, no one has answered. So writing to offices in Ghana doesn't mean anything. Oh. But if she comes out and said, this is the forum I've created, this is a platform I've created, and you can get feedback on it, we'll put in our best. And this is, even unofficially, I'm telling you some of the drastic things I think we have to do. When UT said we do loans in 48 hours, they thought we were joking. But people came, experienced it. Of course, there were risks that we had to mitigate, and we had to find ways and means of mitigating the risk. In the end, we were able to grow a company that was worth initially about $20,000 to a company that had a market cap of $90 million. It was done in Ghana. It can be done. but it has to be a bit radical, keeping in mind the well-being of the people, saving them time, giving them quality time, and nothing else.
And I hope you'll be that radical, and even without any platform being created, you still send a letter or a document to the Chief Justice detailing what you think should happen to our court system, so that the time wasting will be curtailed. Thank you so much, Captain Amoabeng, for making time with us.
Nice talking to you. AccraTimes.com.
That's how we bring our discussion to a close. You've been listening to Captain Prince Kofi Amoabeng, who is the founder of the PK Amoabeng Leadership Foundation, sharing his thoughts on the issue of mismanagement of time. He thinks that time is life, and when you waste somebody's time, what you're doing is you're cutting short the person's time. In other words, you are murdering the person. So the next time you are wasting somebody's time, you are cutting somebody's life short. You are killing the person. That's according to Captain Amoabeng. My name is Fred Avonyo, and I'm the host of Frank Talk on the AccraTimes.com. See you another time. Bye.